Imagine struggling to hold your life together as a single father. Each day a balancing act between work and parenting. Then fate places you in the path of one of Silicon Valley's most powerful CEOs who whispers an unexpected proposition, "Pretend to be my partner tonight." This request would transform both their lives in ways neither could anticipate. The early morning fog clung to the Golden Gate Bridge as Ethan Peterson stood at his apartment window, coffee in hand. The familiar ache in his chest returned. This bridge had taken Jason 2 years ago, leaving Ethan to raise their daughter alone. The Mission District apartment felt emptier without Jason's laughter, but 6-year-old Emma's soft humming from her bedroom provided the only comfort Ethan needed. Bills spread across the kitchen counter told a story of mounting struggle, another rent increase notice, Emma's school tuition, medical insurance premiums. The freelance interior design gigs barely kept them afloat in San Francisco's merciless housing market. Ethan's phone calendar showed 3 cancellations this month, potential clients choosing established firms over a single dad working from his dining table. "Daddy, is my lunch ready?" Emma appeared, clutching her favorite stuffed penguin, her curly hair wild from sleep. She had Jason's eyes perceptive and kind. "Almost ready, sweetie." Ethan quickly assembled a peanut butter sandwich, sliced apples, and a handwritten note with a heart. Small gestures to compensate for what she had lost. Later that afternoon, while picking Emma up from school, Ethan's phone rang with an unexpected opportunity decorating for the prestigious Tech for Change charity gala. The pay would cover their rent for a month. "It's last minute, but our regular designer canceled," explained the event coordinator. "Marcus recommended you." Marcus, Emma's teacher and Ethan's closest friend, waved from the classroom doorway. His knowing smile suggested he understood exactly how desperately Ethan needed this job. That evening at the Castro Community Center, Ethan sat in the circle of the LGBT+ single-parent support group, Emma playing nearby with other children. The adoption agency called again. He confessed to the group, "They want another home inspection, more paperwork. Even though Jason and I adopted Emma together, they're still reviewing my fitness as a single parent." The group offered support, sharing similar struggles with systems not designed for families like theirs. Their collective strength reminded Ethan why he remained in San Francisco despite its challenges here. Emma would grow up seeing diverse families normalized. Later, tucking Emma into bed, Ethan felt the weight of inadequacy pressing down. "Daddy, Lily's family is going to Disneyland," Emma whispered. "Will we ever go?" "Someday," Ethan promised, knowing the impossibility of that promise under current circumstances. As Emma drifted to sleep, Ethan returned to his design sketches. Opportunities like the Tech for Change Gala could change everything. He just needed one influential client to notice his work. One chance to prove his talent extended beyond his struggling freelance business. Little did Ethan know, fate had already set the wheels in motion. The gala would bring him face to face with Alexander Morgan, the man whose request would challenge everything Ethan believed about love, integrity, and second chances. Follow Heart Stories for more emotional journeys that remind us how unexpected encounters can rewrite our life stories and teach us that family isn't always defined by blood, but by the hearts that choose to beat as one. The Yerba Buena Center sparkled under carefully positioned lights, transforming the space into an ethereal wonderland for the Tech for Change charity gala. Ethan adjusted the last orchid arrangement, his trained eye catching imperfections invisible to others. His worn boots and practical attire stood in stark contrast to the workers setting up crystal champagne flutes and arranging place cards for Silicon Valley royalty. Across the room, Alexander Morgan surveyed the evolving space with a critical gaze. The CEO of Morgan Innovations cut an impressive figure in his tailored navy suit, his presence commanding attention without effort. Behind his confident exterior, Alexander harbored mounting anxiety. The company's IPO preparations had reached a critical stage, and tonight's impression on investors could make or break everything he had built over the past decade. "Your father just arrived with the Westbrook investment team," whispered Samantha, his executive assistant, her voice tense. "And Victoria is already working the room?" Alexander's jaw tightened. Victoria Chambers, his ambitious COO, possessed both brilliance and ruthlessness in equal measure. Her thinly veiled desire for his position had intensified since the IPO announcement. Meanwhile, his father, Robert, former CEO and current board chairman, continued pushing traditional images of leadership that Alexander struggled to embody. "They're asking about your partner again," Samantha continued. "The one you mentioned would be attending tonight." The fabrication had begun innocently enough. During a tense board meeting 3 months prior, cornered by questions about his personal stability, Alexander had mentioned a serious relationship. The lie snowballed as the IPO approached, with investors expressing satisfaction that the gay CEO at least presented a respectable image with a stable partner. Now they expected to meet this partner who didn't exist. Alexander's attention drifted across the room, where Ethan's phone conversation caught his ear. "I know, Emma, I miss you too," Ethan was saying, his voice gentle. "Remember what we talked about? Daddy has to work tonight so we can get your new school shoes." Something in the tender exchange drew Alexander closer. He observed Ethan's skilled hands working even while speaking, noting the worn wedding band still on his finger. As Ethan ended the call, Alexander approached. "Your flower arrangements are extraordinary," Alexander offered. Ethan looked up, momentarily startled by the CEO's presence. "Thank you, just adding some final touches." And their conversation flowed with surprising ease. Alexander learning about Ethan's design background, while Ethan recognized Alexander from tech magazines. The connection felt unexpected, but genuine, until Samantha interrupted with urgent news. Investors were asking to meet Alexander's partner immediately. As Samantha departed, desperation overcame Alexander's usual calculated demeanor. "I need your help," he blurted, explaining his predicament in rushed, hushed tones. Ethan's expression shifted from confusion to disbelief. "You want me to pretend to be your partner? Tonight? That's insane." "I wouldn't ask if it wasn't critical." Alexander named a sum that made Ethan's breath catch. $10,000, just for tonight." Ethan's refusal formed on his lips when his phone buzzed with an email. Emma's school announced an immediate tuition increase, citing budget shortfalls. The timing seemed cruelly orchestrated by fate. "I don't even know you," Ethan protested weakly. "You don't need to. Just stand beside me, smile at appropriate moments, and avoid detailed questions." Alexander's voice softened. "Please, everything I've built is at stake." Ethan thought of Emma, of the adoption review, of the rent increase. $10,000 would transform their immediate future, yet accepting felt like betraying something fundamental about himself. "No one gets hurt," Alexander continued. "It's just business." As wealthy patrons began filtering into the hall, Ethan made a decision that would irrevocably alter both their lives, not knowing that across the room. Victoria Chambers was already watching their interaction with calculated interest, her shrewd eyes missing nothing. This moment of desperate connection between two strangers would teach them both that authenticity has a price, but pretending carries an even greater cost. Sometimes the most unexpected circumstances force us to confront what we truly value, revealing strength we never knew we possessed. The private dressing room attached to Alexander's office transformed Ethan from harried single father to polished sophisticate in under an hour. The personal stylist worked miracles, presenting Ethan with a Tom Ford suit that fit as if custom-made. The man in the mirror looked like a stranger, one who belonged alongside a tech mogul. "Perfect timing," Alexander commented, entering as the stylist departed. "We have 30 minutes to synchronize our stories." They crafted a plausible narrative meeting at a museum fundraiser, dating for 8 months, taking things slow because of Emma. Alexander absorbed details about Ethan's life with surprising interest, while Ethan struggled to memorize Alexander's preferences and habits. "What about Jason?" Ethan asked suddenly. "Do I mention him?" Alexander's expression softened. "The truth often works best. Say you lost your husband, but don't elaborate. People rarely pry into grief." Ethan called Marcus, fabricating a story about a late client meeting. The guilt twisted his stomach as he imagined Emma, already in pajamas at Marcus's apartment, asking when Daddy would return. The ballroom had transformed since Ethan's decorating work that afternoon. Silicon Valley elite mingled beneath his floral arrangements. wealth and power concentrated in small conversational clusters. Ethan recognized tech icons whose innovations shaped modern life. These were people whose homes he could never afford to decorate. "Remember, you belong here," Alexander whispered, his hand resting lightly against Ethan's lower back, the gesture practiced yet oddly comforting. "Just be yourself minus the ladder and tool belt." The performance began smoothly. Alexander introduced Ethan as his partner with practiced ease, while Ethan channeled confidence he didn't feel. When questioned about his profession, Ethan's authentic passion for design sparked genuine interest among Alexander's associates. Several exchanged business cards, creating a surreal moment of opportunity born from deception. Robert Morgan's arrival shifted the atmosphere. The elder Morgan exuded old money authority, his handshake firm as he assessed Ethan with calculating eyes. "Alexander never mentioned you attended Rhode Island School of Design," he remarked, his tone suggesting the omission was suspicious. "Dad, not everyone leads with their educational credentials." Alexander interjected, the tension between father and son palpable. Victoria Chambers circulated nearby, her emerald dress matched only by the sharpness in her eyes. She hovered within earshot, occasionally glancing at her phone. The predatory attention raised Ethan's internal alarms. Midway through dinner, Ethan excused himself to the restroom, needing a moment away from the performance. In the hallway, he overheard voices from a service corridor, Victoria and one of the hotel staff, exchanging what appeared to be money for information. Though he couldn't distinguish the words, the furtive nature of the transaction sent anxiety coursing through him. Returning to the ballroom, Ethan noticed Victoria speaking intently with Robert, both glancing his way. Soon after, Alexander was summoned to a private meeting room, touching Ethan's shoulder with reassurance before departing. Left alone, Ethan drifted toward a quiet alcove, accidentally positioning himself near the partially open door of the meeting room. The raised voices carried clearly accusations about Alexander's dishonesty, threats regarding the IPO, Victoria's triumphant tone as she presented evidence of the ruse. Then the conversation shifted to business matters, a planned post-IPO restructuring that would eliminate 200 jobs from Morgan Innovation's workforce. Alexander's voice, neither protesting nor supporting the plan, delivered clinical assessments of cost savings. The door opened suddenly as a server entered with drinks, forcing Ethan to retreat. The glimpse of Alexander's face composed, calculating, utterly different from the man who had spoken so compassionately about Emma, shattered the evening's illusion. When Alexander returned to the ballroom, his eyes searching for Ethan, he found empty space. The designer had vanished, leaving only a business card on Alexander's chair with a hastily scrawled message. "Some pretenses cost too much. Keep your money." As Ethan rode the bus home in his borrowed finery, he wrestled with conflicted emotions. The evening had offered a taste of a world beyond his reach and potential career opportunities that could change Emma's future. Yet the moral compromise and glimpse of corporate callousness left him questioning whether any opportunity was worth sacrificing his integrity. He had already lost so much, perhaps integrity was the one thing he couldn't afford to surrender. 3 days passed before Alexander appeared at Ethan's door, looking distinctly out of place in the modest apartment building. Gone was the polished CEO, replaced by a man in casual jeans and a simple sweater, holding a small gift bag. "How did you find my address?" Ethan asked, blocking the entrance. "Your business card." Alexander's confidence wavered. "May I come in? I owe you an explanation." Ethan hesitated, acutely aware of Emma playing in the living room. Against better judgment, he stepped aside. Emma appeared in the hallway, curiosity overcoming shyness. "Are you Daddy's friend?" she asked, clutching her penguin protectively. Something shifted in Alexander's expression, a softening Ethan hadn't witnessed before. He knelt to Emma's level with natural ease. "I hope to be. I'm Alexander." "Is that Percy, the penguin? I had one just like him when I was your age." Emma's delighted surprise at someone recognizing her stuffed animal created an unexpected bridge. Soon they were seated in the living room, Emma proudly showing Alexander her drawings while Ethan prepared coffee, listening to their interaction with bewilderment. "My teacher says we have to make a My Family poster," Emma explained, her voice dropping. Johnny said I can't have a real family without a mommy. Alexander's response came naturally. Families look different for everyone. My parents didn't understand when I told them I would never have a wife. They wanted me to pretend to be someone I wasn't. Did you pretend? Emma asked with children's directness. For too long, Alexander answered, his honesty catching Ethan off guard. It made me very lonely. Later, after Emma retreated to her room, the adults faced each other across the kitchen counter. The money is still yours, Alexander began. I don't want it, Ethan interrupted. I heard about the layoffs you're planning. 200 families will struggle while shareholders celebrate. Alexander's expression registered genuine surprise. That's Victoria's proposal. The board is considering it, but I haven't approved anything. You didn't object either. Politics is complicated at this level. Alexander sighed, but you're right. I should have objected. He hesitated. The school Emma mentioned, would they accept a technology grant? My foundation has a program for underserved schools. The offer caught Ethan off guard. Why would you do that? Because I thought her drawings. She has talent that deserves nurturing. Alexander paused. And because I need to remind myself why I built this company before the IPO consumed everything. This marked the beginning of an unexpected relationship. Alexander's foundation provided Emma's school with a computer lab, while Ethan reluctantly agreed to consult on redesigning Morgan Innovation's headquarters to prioritize employee well-being over executive opulence. Their professional relationship evolved alongside a deepening personal connection neither man anticipated. Alexander found himself spending weekends at playgrounds and children's museums, experiences entirely absent from his carefully structured life. Ethan witnessed a different side of Alexander, one who helped Emma build science projects and patiently explained coding concepts to fascinated 6-year-olds. When San Francisco's Pride Parade arrived, they attended together. Emma perched on Alexander's shoulders waving a rainbow flag. The public appearance sparked immediate media attention. Alexander Morgan, the intensely private CEO, openly embracing his identity alongside Ethan and Emma. The joy proved short-lived. The following morning, a tabloid published photos with the headline, Morgan's Family Man, the Convenient Relationship Before IPO. Detailing their initial meeting and suggesting their relationship was a calculated business arrangement, the article dredged up details about Jason's death and questioned Ethan's motives. The school playground became a battleground for Emma as children repeated their parents' gossip. Ethan received cancellations from 3 new design clients. Alexander faced emergency board meetings questioning his judgment. Victoria's orchestration became apparent. She had traced Ethan's history and leaked strategic information to create maximum damage. The IPO timeline now demanded immediate damage control, with Robert Morgan insisting Alexander distance himself from the inappropriate relationship. That evening, Ethan found Alexander on his doorstep, expression torn between professional obligation and personal desire. The threshold between them symbolized the choice they now faced: retreat to their separate worlds or stand together against the storm. They want me to deny everything, Alexander admitted. To say it was all a misunderstanding. Ethan's heart contracted painfully. Maybe they're right. We come from different worlds. Alexander reached for Ethan's hand. Different worlds. Yes, but I've never felt at home anywhere the way I do with you and Emma. Their fingers intertwined as they confronted the reality that sometimes authentic connection requires the courage to reject expectations others have placed upon us. The path forward remained uncertain, but standing together felt inexplicably right. Morning light streamed through the windows of Morgan Innovation's conference room as the emergency board meeting commenced. Board members and key investors sat in weighted silence. The Wall Street Journal, with its damaging headline, positioned prominently before Robert Morgan. Alexander entered alone, his posture revealing none of the turmoil of the previous night. Victoria's smile faltered when he placed a comprehensive folder before each member rather than offering immediate damage control. Before addressing the tabloid speculation, Alexander began, I'd like to present the final headquarters redesign proposal and revised employee retention strategy. Robert's objection died as the boardroom doors opened again. Ethan entered, Professional and composed in a simple charcoal suit, digital portfolio in hand, the shocked silence gave him opportunity to connect his presentation to the screens. Morgan Innovations began with a vision of technology serving humanity. Ethan addressed the room. Your workspace should reflect that founding principle. The presentation revealed striking redesigns, collaborative spaces replacing hierarchical offices, sustainability initiatives reducing operational costs, childcare facilities and wellness areas demonstrating commitment to work-life balance. The financial projections showed increased productivity and reduced turnover, offsetting implementation costs. This isn't just aesthetics, Ethan concluded. It's about aligning your corporate environment with the values your customers believe you represent. Alexander seamlessly continued, outlining how the redesign connected to a comprehensive employee retention strategy, an alternative to Victoria's layoff proposal. His passion returned as he spoke about innovation requiring diverse perspectives and psychological safety. The IPO values our intellectual assets. Alexander reminded them, those assets go home every evening. They have families, aspirations, and choices about where to work. Victoria interrupted, her voice sharp. This is a convenient distraction from your personal scandal. No, Alexander countered. The scandal revealed something essential I'd forgotten. Morgan Innovations succeeded because we prioritize humanity in technology. I've failed to apply that same principle to our corporate culture. He turned toward his father. Dad, you built this company believing technology should serve people, not exploit them. Somewhere along the IPO path, we've inverted those priorities. Robert Morgan remained impassive, but something flickered in his eyes. When he finally spoke, his words surprised everyone. Your mother would have said the same thing. The mention of Alexander's mother, rarely referenced since her death, created a palpable shift. Robert continued more quietly. She left because I couldn't accept who she truly was, who you truly are. I've spent 20 years ensuring I wouldn't lose the company. I nearly lost my son again through the same mistake. The tension dissipated as Robert stood addressing the board. The personal lives of our executives only concern us when they affect judgment. Alexander's judgment in bringing this redesign and retention strategy demonstrates exactly the leadership we need through the IPO and beyond. Victoria's defeat manifested in her rigid posture as the board voted to approve Alexander's proposal, including her reassignment to lead international expansion, a prestigious role that conveniently required extensive travel. Afterward, Robert approached Ethan privately. You remind me of Catherine Alexander's mother. She never backed down either. He extended his hand. Welcome to the family, however unofficial that might be for now. 1 year later, the San Francisco Pride Parade featured Morgan Innovations prominently, the company having emerged as a corporate leader in workplace equality. Employees marched alongside Alexander, Ethan, and Emma, the company's transformation attracting talent from competitors. As sunset painted the Golden Gate Bridge in amber hues, Alexander led Ethan to the Vista Point where Jason's memorial plaque rested. Emma placed flowers beside it, whispering to her original father about their new life. Alexander knelt beside Ethan, producing a simple platinum band. Our beginning wasn't conventional, but nothing about us has been. Will you continue this journey officially? Ethan's yes came without hesitation. Emma's delighted squeal punctuating the moment as she threw her arms around them both. Later that evening, as Emma slept between them on the sofa, Alexander mentioned the foster care organization that had contacted him about a newborn needing placement. Too soon to consider, he asked tentatively. Ethan studied Alexander's expression, recognizing the same hope and fear he'd felt when first adopting Emma. Their path forward would hold challenges. Blending families always did, but they had already overcome the greatest obstacle by choosing authenticity over expectation. What would you do if faced with such a choice? Maintain comfortable pretense or risk everything for authentic connection? Sometimes our greatest growth comes from unexpected relationships that challenge our assumptions about what family means and where we truly belong. Follow Heart Stories for more emotional journeys that remind us how love appears in the most unexpected forms, teaching us that second chances often arrive disguised as our greatest challenges.